Hey there viewers, it's Charlie. I'm back again with another Transformers review, and today's review is going to be on Beast Wars Cheetor. Yes, for once I am not actually reviewing a War for Cybertron Trilogy figure. However, this is still a recent figure, because this is actually the 2021 reissue of Cheetor. So, because of that, I of course have the packaging. So we can see how the Beast Wars packaging used to look, despite this being a faithful recreation. And right off the bat, well, you can see there's blue tack there because I did quite a horrible job opening the figure. I mean, at least it was a reissue and not an actual original Beast Wars figure. But we can see that the style of packaging is based on the original Rocky Bubble style of packaging. We can see Cheetor there. You can see his name up there. It says Beast Wars Transformers. Got the huge iconic Beast Wars eye, although it's a bit ripped there, unfortunately. Deluxe Cheetor. So I'm pretty sure Beast Wars is when they started calling the figures Deluxe and, like, well, it was Deluxe Class, Ultra Class, and Mega Class, and so back then there was no Voyager and Leader Class back then. It says, with Water Blaster, because this guy can squirt water. Here we have him transforming into his robot mode. We turn the figure around. You can actually see a stat card. So you can see he's got a 6 in strength. Well, if that will focus. A 6 in strength, a 5 in intelligence, a 10 in speed, and I'm pretty sure there's a 7 in firepower. It says that his secret weapon locations are his tail becomes a cannon and his stomach becomes a squirter, which is gross. And we got his stats. I'm not gonna read that. I pretty much just decided to stop reading the bio, so feel free to read that. Okay, reading time's over. And we got the instructions on the back, instead of them being packaged with the figure inside. Those days are long gone, because even with my Siege Aimless figure, despite that being a much smaller figure, it had instructions packaged inside, so we can see that the instructions on the back are definitely a bygone era. Well, that's pretty much it for the box. Now let's get on to the actual figure itself. And we can definitely see that, well, this guy, hence his name, is a cheetah. And, well, I don't really have anything to say. I mean, it's a really cool beast mode. I mean, it's quite spotty. On the back, we do have some visible robot stuff, in the sense that we have some blue here for the robot legs. And I guess that the back legs are a bit bigger than the front legs to accommodate for the robot mode, but, eh. If we have a look at the beast head, well, we can see it's definitely quite feline looking. Look at the underneath, we can see that there's no kibble there. Well, aside from this gap here, and this bit, which is actually the water squirter. As well as these robot feet. But other than that, the head's not, well, the robot head's not visible, which is a really good sign. However, we do have the mutant head showing. So, I mean, this was made, like, in the 90s, and this is just a reissue of it, so the engineering, it wasn't as good back then, so yeah, I don't really have anything else to say for the beast mode. I quite like it. I mean, the articulation's pretty much non-existent, despite being a beast. I mean, I suppose if you sort of move the arms, no, not really. Thought you can try and get them into some kind of like running pose, but yeah, it just looks silly. But well, that's pretty much it for the beast mode, which I think looks really cool. Let's get onto the robot mode. And seeing how this is Beast Wars, we do have some hidden weapons. So, gonna have to rip his guts off. And before we continue, we can actually see that these are the intestines. So that's, I don't know what to say about that. We just remove that, and also remove the cheetah's tail. These will come into play later. So if you're looking for a Cheetor in the secondary market, make sure make sure it at least has the tail, because if it doesn't, it'll look like this, and that'll be weird. So yeah. But to get onto the transformation, straighten the back legs out. Get the feet out. Turn these around. And turn the entire waist around. Come in here. Get this down, which that just looks like a scary face, to be honest. Take the front legs and move them down. That'll make way for the robot arms, which are formed from these parts. There we go. Take the cheetah head, move that down. Turn that 180 degrees and just move that into place. And before I move on, here we have the Mutant Heads, which all the first year Beast Wars figures had, aside from the basic figures. But, well, the deluxe and bigger figures in the first year had the Mutant Heads. If you see my reviews on Waspinator, Primal, not Primal, he was missing his head. Yeah, my review on Primal was missing his mutant head, but if you look at my reviews on Megatron and Waspinator, they also had mutant heads, and as I said, Primal normally has a mutant head, but my copy is missing his. So, yeah. But this is Cheetor's mutant head. And this is looking rather insectoid. And with the Shadow Panther recolor of the figure, I'm pretty sure this is meant to be the actual head of the figure. Because that's something Beast Wars like to do. Because with one figure, the robot head was the main head. And with a recolor of the figure, the beast mode, well, the beast head was the actual head. For example, with Waspinator, the mutant head became the main head, whereas with Buzzsaw, his recolor, the robot head was the actual head. So, yeah. But, yeah, with Cheetor's mutant head, we can see that it looks like he's got these little pincers here. That's actually the horns of his robot head. So yeah. And to get his robot head out, just move this back, and here we have his robot head, which is quite show accurate. And here we have Cheetor in his robot mode. And the actual cheetah head is quite huge, so it sort of blocks off the robot head. I mean, you can sort of group this down, but you can see this huge gap here, so it's quite awkward. I mean, hey, it was the 90s. The engineering back then was not as good as 2020's engineering. Even though the QC was a bit better back then. Roasting our fries. But yeah, that is a complaint. And unlike nowadays, there were no third-party companies to make gap fillers for this, so you're pretty much left how it is. So yeah. Now, before I show off the weapons, let's have a look at the figure how it is right now. Well, we can see that the Cheetor head's quite big, as I've already noted. But the back's not that hollow like some other figures I've seen in the past, so... Again, the past figures were a bit, I don't want to say better built, because, well, that's not the case, but past figures were more dense back then. Well, figures were more dense back then is what I'm trying to say. I look at his actual robot head, because, well, we've already seen his mutant head. It definitely resembles his show head. Oh, well, how he looked in the show. And I'm pretty sure there's some releases of the figure where his eyes are green, although on this release they're orange. Okay, so articulation. Well, the head can actually move. Yeah, whether it's the mutant head or robot head, it can move. The arms are on a ball joint, so they've got a good range. So, of course, T-posing. Got elbows, which, of course, can swivel. He does have a waist swivel, but his crotch guard gets in the way of that. But it can swivel. The legs can go forward a bit that far. Go back really far. Of course, the splits. Excuse me, my nose is itchy, sorry. He's got some knees. These can swivel. And unfortunately, because this was a figure from years ago that was reissued this year, as of the time of recording, no ankle pivot. I'm not complaining. I mean, as I keep saying, this is a reissue of a 90s figure, so... Of course, figures nowadays have way better articulation, but even with this figure, the articulation's pretty good, because we have ball joints, and the ball joints in this figure are actually quite tight. I mean, seriously, they're really good. I'm not sure how they're going to age, like the original Beast Wars figures, but seeing how for most of this guy's life, he's just going to be standing on a shelf with my other Beast Wars figures, I'm sure they're going to hold up pretty well. Now, for his weaponry, of course, we have the intestines gun. And as the box states, you can put this in water, squeeze up water, and then squirt it out. I am never going to do that. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure if I ever did that, it would just be out of curiosity, but I would never squirt this up to, like, other figures, because, keep in mind, I've got figures that are die-cast, and that can make them rust, so I am never going to do that. But, of course, we have the tail gun, so just fold it up, and now he can shoot enemies with his bum, which is Okay then, you do you, buddy. So now we have his full arsenal. Yeah, this is why nobody watches me. But horrible jokes that makes people click away from me aside. Here we have his 2 guns. I mean, one of them is formed from the cheetah's tail, the other is formed from his intestines. Sure. I mean, at least they've got places to store in the vehicle mode. Not vehicle mode, sorry. I'm just used to reviewing the WFC Trilogy figures. At least they've got places to store in the beast mode, which later toy lines would incorporate. But yeah, I mean, shooting enemies with your beast mode intestines sounds a bit weird, to be honest. But, well. But, well, that's pretty much all I have to say about this guy. Complaints? Well, for actual complaints, I think the beast head's a bit too, well, big. Cartoon definitely slimmed it down for the design of Cheetor, and I think that was definitely for the best. You can like droop it downward, but that makes the gap here, which is another complaint, a bit bigger. But if you want to do that, then go ahead. But those are my 2 complaints. Like the beast head is quite big, and we have this huge gap here. But for nitpicks, aka complaints that only I would have, and do not deter from the figure at all, I think it's weird that he like shoots intestinal stuff at not Decepticons, Predacons. Sorry, my WFC Trilogy brain's just coming through again. I mean, I know it's just water, like toy-wise, but still. But yeah, it's just a nitpick. But otherwise, do I recommend this figure? I mean, come on. Of course I do. It's Cheetor. I mean, this is a really popular character in, well, not just Beast Wars, but in Transformers in general. I mean, Cheetor has made it into Cyberverse, so... Well, this guy is pretty much really popular, so... I mean... I'm pretty sure he's not going to be popular with everyone, but... There are fans who do really like him, and I'm one of them. Now, I do also really want a figure of Dinobot, but... Yeah, who knows if Hasbro's going to ever reissue him in their Beast Wars reissue line, but we'll see. But, well, I do really recommend this guy, whether it's the original release, if you're just that much of a Beast Wars purist, or if you're... Or... Well... sorry, I don't know where I was going. I recommend this figure whether it's the original release, the 10th anniversary release, or even this current reissue. Because no matter what, this is a really good figure. In fact, the other versions of the mod are really good as well. For example, Tigatron. So no matter what version of the mod it is, I definitely recommend this guy. So yeah, this has been my review on Beast Wars Cheetor, and this is Charlie Young, signing off.